Welcome back to another time where we're going to look at something really weird that's very true. This is a story much like the MK Ultra and the psychics in the CIA. This takes place in that weird time of the 60s. I don't know what was going on in the 60s. They must have been shooting up and drinking some real dumb juice. Some wacko seasoning on all their burritos. The 60s was an age of ridiculous. So this story comes from the top hat of our country, Canada. We all know Justin Trudeau, this guy. Not that guy. That guy. Yes. Blackface Justin Trudeau. We all know Trudeau for being 100% woke, 100% for the LGBT, AIP, plus minus divided by sign, AID, ADD community. But in the 60s, Canada was a little bit different. And what do I mean by that? Well, when America was doing their MK Ultra super genius psychic tests on people, Canada was developing their fruit machine. The fruit machine was essentially Canada's gaydar. So Canada developed a gaydar in the 60s. It didn't really actually get developed, unfortunately. Unfortunately, you decide. So this is a very true story. Canada poured thousands and thousands into Fruit Machine, a widely unsuccessful attempt at gaydar. In the 60s, Canadian government commissioned a series of homosexuality tests known as Fruit Machine. It didn't work and ruined countless lives. Before the end of the year, Prime Minister Trudeau will apologize for the mistreatment of gay and lesbian men. Lesbian men. The fuck is that? And women during the Cold War. So Cold War was it wasn't just about nukes, and it wasn't just about Cuba, and it wasn't just about Russia. It was about MK Ultra and psychics and gaydars. Is this the genesis of gaydar? When I grew up in the 90s in school, like all young boys, respected young boys do, we always talked about the gaydar. Hey, you're on the gaydar. Hey, my gaydar's going off. Is this the genesis of that? Maybe. A major part of the Fruit Machine, a series of homosexuality tests developed by Canadian government's secret panel, which coordinated federal security campaigns and reported directly to cabinet. According to former Vancouver Sun journalist John Sawatsky's book, Men in the Shadows, the RCMP Security Service Prime Minister John Diefenbaker never knew about the exact nature of the project, but accepted the panel's advice that gays needed to be removed from public office by way of concrete proof of their sexuality. Now, side note, the present day activists for the LGBTQ, AIP, ADD, whatever, they endorse and like Muslim culture and the Quran and Sharia law. Look at Omar, whatever the fuck her name is, that married and has sex with her own brother. True. They don't understand that those people kill the LGBTQ people. Like they publicly kill them. So Canada was not too far from that. People talk about Trump being Hitler. I mean, Canada was kind of banishing gays. Of course, this is back in the 60s, before any of that's time. So I'll give them a little bit of grace. It was quite devastating, said Kingsman, a Carleton sociology professor who co-wrote the Canadian War on Queers, National Security as Sex Regulation. Especially early on, hundreds of people lost their jobs in the first couple of years of the early 60s. People would be called into security's office and they would be told, "We have evidence that you are a homosexual. What do you have to say about this?" Again, this is all true. Canadian was on some real stuff. The fruit machine consisted of a series of questions, a chair resembling one you might sit in a dentist's office, and flashing images of mundane scenes contrasted with porn that people in the 50s thought gay people would like. Think half-naked carnival strongman. Subjects who were told the machine was measuring stress sat in the chair and watched images while scientists noticed the pulse rate, sex or skin reflexes, breathing rate, and the pupil response. I guarantee they were checking to see if anybody got a semi-chub during that too. That'd be a aha moment. The Canadian hundreds of people lost their jobs the first couple of years. The Canadian War Museum displays the chair or the electrosynoptic meter or e-meter that museum says was used to detect homos during the Cold War. Online, the list calls it the fruit machine, but the museum itself, the text simply mentions the investigations as a whole. Either way, Kingsman and adamant that the e-meter was never used as part of the fruit machine. We protested it, we challenged it, we said this is not the fruit machine, at least not the fruit machine that the Canadian government was trying to develop in the 60s. The e-meter is a machine that measures small amount of electricity that run through human skin. While e-meters are used for certain clinical trials, they're most widely known for their association of the Church of Scientology, which uses them to test for thetans, the secret alien souls that control all of our thoughts and emotions. What? The Church of Scientology, I guess that's par for the course, but they search for secret alien souls? Man, these people are some goofy stuff. Some super dumb gene. During the audition process of its members, the church has been ordered to admit that by itself, the meter does nothing, but for religious use by students and ministers of the church in confessionals and pastoral counseling only. The whole setup looked like something out of science fiction. Sawatsky quotes the unnamed participant as saying, "It didn't look as if it had been built on Earth." I'm not trying to be sensational about that. It was a whole bunch of grinders or girders that were small flanges bolt to equipment together and a screen in a box containing naughty pictures. So it was like the first, I don't know, porn website, I guess. The plan was to monitor as many psychological variables as possible in hopes of finding reliable method for identifying homos without arousing the fear. Something was arousing the fear and anxiety involved with polygraph testing. Enter Frank Robert Wake, a Carleton psychology professor the government recruited and sent to the US for a year to study homosexual detection measures that were being developed there. So in the same time that Canada developed their fruit machine and America was doing MK Ultra and psychic mind readings and mind controlled stuff in the CIA, they were also trying to detect gays. Fantastic. They paid him about $5,000 or $40,000 in today's dollars. There he came across a study at an American university professor had recently done for a marketing firm in which he strapped a camera to subjects' heads and measured their pupil dilation as they roamed a grocery store to see which product packaging interests them the most. So he got paid $40,000 to see what people were shopping for to see if they were gay. I mean, what's the list? What are gay people buying in the 60s? Wade decided this would be the perfect Wade decided this would be the perfect basis for his project. A camera measured their subjects' pupils as naughty images flashed. If their pupils dilated when they saw someone of the same sex, they were homosexual and therefore to treat to a threat to national security. Jesus. Wait, so he strapped the camera to the subject's head and measured their pupil dilation as they roamed around the grocery store to see what product packaging interested them the most. At the same time, they were feeding them gay porn while they were shopping. And if their pupils dilated, then they were gay and a threat to national security? I mean, seems a little off. Maybe not. They're big brain. We supposedly suffered from character weakness that meant that we were vulnerable to blackmail from evil Soviet agents. So the Soviets, it was the damn Soviets that were making us gay. The people that we talked to for the book said that the only people who ever tried to blackmail them were the RCMP themselves, who tried to force them to give over the names of lesbian and gay men that they knew. Lesbians and gay men that they knew. Immediately, the team ran into a problem. The technology for performing such tests in a sexual context was unknown to be and had to be invented. Thus, most of the experimenting was done on technology and not the objectives. I mean, if the pupils dilate while they're looking at gay porn, obviously they're gay, right? While it's true that pupil dilation indicates arousal or interest, that's what I just said. The test failed to take into account the fact that pupils also react to light. Going from a brighter photo to a darker one can cause the same reaction as sexual interest. But did you check their pants to see if they had an erection? The problem scientists invested a lot of time trying to remedy with no success. I just solved the issue. Pay me! The exact numbers remain unclear, but according to Kingsman, the Canadian government spent more than $80,000 today on the fruit machine in 1 year of testing. This is the money that Doge is trying to get rid of. And today, obviously this isn't happening today. America, we're better than this. We didn't develop a fruit machine and was firing government people for being gay. Canada, how dare you? But yeah, Doge is getting rid of crap like that. We do worse shit now. Let's just put it that way. Or did, say. It wasn't just some bizarre little experiment that a couple people in the corner over there in the RCMP or in the military decided to do. He said, that could never work. It never did work. Why is there an ad? But the government poured thousands of dollars into it. The project was plagued by a litany of other issues, including the fact that any bisexual subjects would have completely negated the test. Bis weren't invented in the 60s. They weren't invented until the 80s. Come on. The test cameras also had to be mounted from the side as to not block the subject's view of the images that made the pupil size even harder to measure. Ultimately, the project collapsed when the homosexual panic died down a bit, but the government decided its coffers no longer ran deep enough to justify breaking new scientific pupil measurement barriers to oust gay people from their jobs. The fruit machine scientists requested more money, and the Defense Research Board, which had never been interested in the project in the first place, according to Sawaskis, readily cut the funding. Kingsman sees the forthcoming apology and the important opportunity of the government to go in detail the past wrongs. So Trudeau, he's making an apology, or he made an apology. This is, when did this report come out? Sometime, 2017. So this is old news that I guarantee hardly anybody knows about because it's been pushed under the rug. But again, very strange but true story. So that is the story of Canada's gaydar, the origin of gaydar, the one word as a young, respected person in America we have all used to make fun of our friends for. We just never knew that it was based on real events. So prior to Trudeau, Canada hated gays. And then Trudeau made it mainstream. So, kidding aside, I don't give a crap if you're part of the LGBTQAIP whatever community. I take the stance as Vivek Ramaswamy. You're an adult. Who cares what you do? I don't. It doesn't affect me. I will say this though, when it comes to being in public spaces, use the right bathroom. If you got a wiener, go to the boys' bathroom. If you don't, then go to the girls' bathroom. Stop being fucking weird in public. You can be whatever you want behind closed doors. Who cares? I don't go around screaming what I do behind closed doors in public. You shouldn't either. The only time it affects me and the majority of people is whenever you start grooming kids. Keep kids out of it. I have no sympathy for people who groom kids. I think that they should all go the way of the dude who offed himself in Russia a few years back by digging his own grave and then shooting himself in the back several times and burying himself. And Russia said it was suicide. I think that if you harm kids or a sexual deviant or towards kids or groom kids, that's my response to you. But if you're an adult, who cares? Do whatever you want. That's my stance. I thought this story was super wacky, and it makes it even more wacky that it is true. 100% true. The same as blackface. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and what kind of wacko story you want me to cover next time. Thank you all for watching. See ya.